um, has access to the funding at the year end of the year. And the best way to do that is to prepare for this and to start now. And now is almost too late, but it's just enough time for you to be successful. So this is year-end fundraising part one. There's going to be a part two in a couple weeks, and it's how to raise 30 to 40% of your annual budget in the final few weeks of the year. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the basics. So what we're going to cover today is why year-end giving is so powerful, understanding the donor's behavior within this time period, and identifying the most fundable year-end project. We're also going to cover setting one clear year-end goal, launching your campaign in the next 72 hours. You really want to get started on this right away and building your 4-week December roadmap. And we're going to go through all those things. One quick poll I want to ask you all, and just put it in the chat. What do you want to get out of here? Why did you join this webinar today? Is it I need to launch my year-end campaign? I'm behind and I need a plan. I want to raise significant more money this year. All of the above. Put that in the chat, and I'll comment on that as they're put in there. Now, this is the basics. This is the reality of what's happening here. So, as I mentioned before, most nonprofits and churches raise 30 to 40% of their funding in December. Most people don't know that, but yet you raise most of your money at that time. And then you raise 10 to 12% of it in the last 3 days of the year. And if most nonprofits and Black churches understood that, they would focus a little bit more on that. Like Giving Tuesday, don't worry about Giving Tuesday. Worry about this. And if you don't launch, you're going to lose a lot of funding that's going to be given to other nonprofits that already understand this issue. Now, why is it so effective? Why does it work? It's because people are much more reflective at this time of the year. They're thankful. It starts in Thanksgiving and it goes all the way into Christmas and Hanukkah and all those wonderful holidays that make us appreciate who we are and what we have around us. People also are looking at their finances and they're looking at their tax situations. Some people need to make adjustments. Some people need to give money away. And people want to make a difference before the year ends. So these are the primary reasons why December is a really strong time to really push for fundraising. And if you do nothing, this is what the cost. You're going to get the same amount of money that you've gotten last year during Christmas. So your programs are probably going to be underfunded. Staff's going to be still stressed. You're going to have a delayed mission because you're not able to expand your programs the way that you want, and you're missing out on a generous month that's going to be given to other nonprofits and churches that are focused on this. Now, the first step I want you to look at is you need to identify a year-end project. And it needs to be specific, it needs to be impactful, and it needs to be emotionally compelling. It needs to have something that's around giving, Christmas. It needs to have something around family, things like that. Let me take a quick look at the chat and see what the responses were. So let me look and see. I need to launch. I need to learn how to fundraise. Just two. So you people are just saying that they need to launch. Okay. So next, you need to define the project very clearly. That's important. So you want to be specific about the project. So you want to be like renovate the food pantry, something like expand your youth programming for 2026, fund the Christmas outreach for 150 families. And you really want to make sure that you are saying in this above and beyond your normal giving. So when you're doing the asking, and make sure everybody is on mute, by the way. You want to make sure that you're reminding people this is above and beyond your normal giving. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because if you need to still fund general operating during December and all these other things, you don't want the funding to go from general operating to go to something else when you need to keep the lights on in the church. So you need to make sure that you're saying, I'm going to keep reminding you throughout the presentation, but that's a key component. And the project needs to be impactful, and so you need to answer the so what. Who does it benefit? What does it change? Why it matters now? And we can't do this without you. You really want to make your congregants, your donors, the hero. And you want to start talking about a story, the power of story. You want to tell at least one human story. You want to put a face to the need. That's why you do that. You also want to create an emotional connection. And as I mentioned before, you have to make the donors the hero. So you're not the hero, the donors are the hero. So you're saying we can't do these things without you. So next, this is an example of the story. So John Doe, John Doe is a veteran and he's been with our church for such amount of years. What's his life before this ministry? John is living in a homeless shelter and he's taking care of his family. The moment things have shifted, John has started coming to the church and he has started coming to the homeless shelter programs to help him with his funding, help him get a job, things like that, help him with daycare, things like that. Also, what is the new future? John is looking to become, let's say, a chef. John is taking classes. He's also working, but he's taking classes. He's also trying to pay off some debt. These are the things that are sort of like showing what the future can be possible for John. And then only possible with the donor support. So this, you want to just make sure to remind people we can't do this without your help. It has to be your support. Next, step two, set a clear goal. You want to be specific. You want to make sure that it's measurable. You also want to make sure it's achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you want to really make sure it's in a little capsule that people can understand and it's relevant to something that they care about and it's focused on this time, this 30 last few days of the year. Now, you also want to focus on one goal. Why one goal matters. Anything more than that, you overwhelm the donors with too many options. So one or two are okay, but you really, if you can do one, that would be great. One gives clarity, and clarity drives generosity. When you're able to focus on one thing, there's no confusion. So you're able to sort of double down, as they were say, on one particular project. Now, you also want to use the SMART goal, as I mentioned before, which is specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant and time bound. And I'll break these down pretty clearly in a very easy way. So when I say specific, you want to say something like $10,000 for the after school program or $15,000 for the food ministry, things like that. Be very specific for the amount that you are trying to raise. You want to make sure it's measurable too, measurable for you as well as the donors. So, how many donors are you trying to get to contribute to this? How much money are you trying to raise per week? And what are the number of families you are trying to serve? And you want to make sure it's achievable. So, you want to look at what you were able to do last year. You want to look at your donor capacity, what they've already given for the year, and you want to base on urgency and need. So it needs to be something that's urgent and needed in your community that they can connect to. And that sort of flows into the relevant. It must be connected to your mission. It must be something that makes sense with what your church is doing. It must follow with, the December spirit. So usually around family, around food, around, shelter, around clothing, around gifts, things like that. It has to matter to the donors, and it must matter to your community. It has to be relevant and time bound. We want to say by December 31st, and then in the last 3 days, you want to say we're in the final 3 day stretch, and we must raise this before the year end. So you really want to give it, bookends so people can understand where they are. So here's a quick quiz. What is making the SMART factor creates urgency? What in the SMART factor creates urgency? Which one of these? A, specific, B, achievable, C, relevant, D, time bound. What makes it urgent? Put your answers in the chat. You guys already know. Yeah, so definitely time bound. Definitely makes it, gives it the, any questions that we have right now? Let me take a quick look at the chat to make sure there are no questions. Are there any questions up to this point? Give you guys a few minutes to think. You guys got it all down? So we'll just keep it going then. I don't see any questions. Okay, so step 3, you need to build your December plan now. So you need to start this right now. So failing to plan in December means you're going to fail to raise funds to support the community in its time of most needed. I mean, this is the time it needs your help. This is when people are cold. Usually when people need shelter, people need food, people need togetherness. So this is a critical time, and I really encourage everyone on this call to do a Christmas year-end fundraising program. So you got to do it, and you have to do it now. You have to start today. So this is how you're going to look at it. So you're going to announce the year-end campaign publicly. So the first time you're going to do that is, guess what? This Sunday. So November 30th, you're going to do that. You're going to send out your email. You're going to send out some letters. You're going to introduce the specific year-end project. So if it's the food bank, if it's after school program, if it's, whatever you come up with, you're going to update the website and giving platforms so people can give to that particular project. And you're going to do some light midweek reminders. And again, you have to remind the donors this is above and beyond their normal giving. And everything starts today. The sooner you launch this, the more you will raise for those particular projects that you're hoping to support. Week 2, you're going to share one compelling testimony. You're going to post an emotional, mission-driven story. And you're going to talk about it again on Sunday, which is going to be December 7th. So you're going to introduce a face of the impact. That's picking the one story around a person. You're going to do a couple of social media posts that week. And then you're going to again, I'm going to keep reminding you this. You have to say this is above and beyond your normal giving, because stories move the heart, moved hearts give, and giving changes lives. And so that's what we're trying to get to. And we're on your week 3. We're going to share the progress. You're going to talk about how much money you've raised up until that point. So you'll say something like, we've raised 28% towards the goal. Let's keep it going. We're going to celebrate the early donors publicly. So you're going to talk about that a little bit on Sunday. You're going to talk about giving moments, as I mentioned before, on December 14th. You're going to show the behind the scenes. You're going to show some of the work, maybe some of the people packing some of the food, if it's the food shelter, or packing some of the gifts, whatever it is. You want to show work actually being happening for the project. You want to encourage. This is a good time to encourage recurring giving during this time. So encourage people to sign up for recurring giving during December. That's a really good time to do that for 2026. You're going to try to do either a little video, you can do that on your phone, or a pastoral message. Again, we're reminding donors above and beyond their normal giving, because this is the momentum, and you got to keep it going. So momentum creates confidence, and confidence creates generosity. So you want to keep it going, and you're going to report these things. So that's going to create confidence and momentum. December, looks like that's December 21st and it's December 27th. So that's, we're going to start counting down. So on this Sunday, that's the fourth Sunday, you're going to be talking about this. And you're also going to be moving into Christmas Eve as well. Some of you have Christmas Eve services. So you're going to talk about it during that as well. Share some impactful highlights. You're going to start the 10-day countdown. You're going to have a post-Christmas reminder, 3 to 4 day post this week. And then you are also going to remind donors, again, this is above and beyond. I can't stress that enough. So many people forget to do that. And so all these people give to whatever the project they've given to, and then the general operating that they normally receive gets hit pretty hard. So really make sure you're reminding that. So Christmas week is an emotional and generous. So really make sure that you're visible and you're asking people to support this particular project. And then finally, we're at the countdown. So this is the last Sunday you're really going to bang this in. So you're going to talk about the giving moments. You're going to have one more giving moment. You're going to begin your daily countdown December 28th. You're going to send short last 72 hours to give message. Final emails on December 31st. You're going to celebrate publicly. You're going to encourage everyone to finish strong. And again, we're reminding donors above and beyond. So the final 3 days often raise the most money for the entire fall. So if you even miss the last 3 days, you can really forget about raising more money than you think you could. You have to hit the minimum these last 3 days and say, we have 3 more days, we have 2 more days, you will be surprised at how much more money comes in to support these needed programs for your community. Now, this may seem overwhelming because I'm moving a little fast, but it's not. It's really just 3 things. It's just 3 things. So you're gonna write, your first appeal message. You're gonna finalize your year-end project and what the goal is. So again, food bank, we're gonna try to raise $50,000. That's not hard to do. You can do that. You can do that. And then you're gonna send it out, and you're gonna send the letter out, and you're gonna update the website so people can give to that particular project on the website. And then come Sunday, you're going to announce it during the service, and you're going to post on social media, and you're going to share your story. You can do this. You got this. And if you do this, I guarantee you will raise more money than you did last year if you didn't do this last year. Now, engagement. This is why it's really important to use your social media, and use the ones that you already have. I'm not saying, go out and sign up for YouTube or something else that you haven't really used before. Just use the channels that you have, but be in your congregants' mind. And so on Sundays, you're going to do those 2-minute moments. As I mentioned before, you're going to send out the emails, you're going to send out the social media, you're going to do the texts. If you haven't done texts are really powerful. So really make sure, and I would use, if I were you, I would use the Texas the last 3 days. I did that during COVID, and the response rate was something like 90 something percent of the top donors responded to the texts. So really make sure you lean into the text. That's the most powerful thing on here. And then you're going to do some mails. Just for some of those individuals that are a little bit more senior that don't embrace technology that much. Now, we're going to send you these templates so you'll have some things to work off of. So we're going to send you some subject lines, captions, posts, weekly schedule. We're going to send you all this stuff so you can kind of take a look at it so you can sort of figure out where you are and what you need to do to make this happen. But you can do this. It's not as complicated as it may seem with this presentation. It's super simple. Just keep it as simple as you need it to be. Why engagement works in December. People are online more. They're more emotional, as I said to you before, and people are generous. People are very generous during December. So if you ever need a loan or whatever, that's when you ask someone. So engagement matters in December. So really embrace that. End of November and December. Those are the really good times to ask people to support the needed programs in your community. Now, there might be a little bit of fear, a little bit of hesitation here, but don't let it stop you from doing good, from doing what your community needs you to do. So if you feel some hesitation, just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do it. Hit send. Just do this. And if there's what I'm going to do, I haven't told my team this, but I'm going to open up another Zoom meeting. We'll try to figure out another platform, but it might be Zoom until we do. I'm going to open up another meeting next Monday to check in with you all to make sure everybody is doing the things that they need to do. If there's any questions, comments, ideas, I'm going to open it up. It's going to be more of an answer question, less of a presentation. This is our way of giving back to the community, and we just want you all to be as successful as possible because we all know that without the work that you all are doing, we wouldn't be here today. At the end of the day, you guys are our heroes. And it's really important for you guys to be successful. And so we're really just trying to be here for you all. So next Monday at 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we're going to open up a Zoom for you all to come in, ask questions, comments, and work on whatever projects you're working on within this year end, and we'll keep it going. And we're going to keep doing this until the end of the year. So we'll do this for 4 straight Mondays until you guys lock this down. So I didn't tell my team that. They're probably not going to be happy about it, but I really just want to make sure you guys are successful. So whoever's on this call, let's make sure we have a strong year end, and we're going to be here to support you. Okay, so one of the things I learned was some of you guys may know what miracle territory is, but miracle territory is a space where you're uncomfortable and you're scared and you're in a situation where you're not sure. And this might be one of those things. It likely is for a lot of you, but in order for miracles to happen, they don't happen in good situations at good times. Miracles happen when you need help, you're scared, you're in a situation you don't know what the outcome is, but you're trying to do good, you're trying to do the work. And so, what I'm trying to do is put you all in miracle territory so miracles can happen. Breakthroughs happen when you're scared, you don't feel like you're ready, and you're pushing for something to happen and you're being bold. And that's what we're trying to put you guys in that situation so that you can have a fantastic year end fundraising for your particular projects. So I'm putting you in miracle territory. So here's an example of a church we worked with last year. It's a very small church, but within December, they raised $32,000, which was a lot more than what they were actually expecting. But they put out a big goal the year before that. They raised 10,000. They put out a big goal. So they chose a 32,000. They hit that goal. It was a little bit more than that, but we'll just say 32,000. It was for their food pantry. They launched it in November. It was at the end of the month. They told one story. It was about Mrs. Jones and her kids and who frequented the food pantry, and they followed the plan. They picked a project, they set a goal, they launched, they implemented, and they followed up, and they raised $32,000 for the food pantry, and they helped so many families that year, more families than they had ever helped during that time of the year. And if they can do that, this was a tiny church. You guys can do that, and it can be large, it can be big. So that's what we're hoping for you all. So this is the strategy. Just follow the plan. It's not random, it's not complicated, and it's not overwhelming. It's simple. Staying visible, as I mentioned, during December, you're going to raise some money. So that's going to be on social media, that's going to be emails, that's going to be sermons, that's going to be texts, that's going to be regular mail. You need to stay visual because you'll notice all of the department stores, all of the retailers, they're extremely visible. Everyone's talking about Black Sunday or Black Friday right now. Everyone's very visible. We need to be equally visible, but you all have an advantage. They show up where you all are every Sunday. So you have an advantage. So we need to use that advantage so we can raise money for what our community needs. So these are the steps. Once again, personalize the appeal letter. We're going to send the message and we're going to announce it on Monday. This is what we're planning for this week. And so, part two on December 12th, I'm going to have the second part of this. This is part two. Right now, it's part one. We're going to have part two, December 12th. We're going to have some scripts for you. We're going to have some Christmas scripts for you. We're going to have the night watch. That's going to be December 24th. We're going to have donor thank you letters systems for you. And we're going to have some January impact reports that you guys can use. And we're going to get you ready. Final encouragement. If you do this right, you will raise 30% to 40% of what you've already raised for the year. That's significant for most of you. So let's get started. Let's do this now. So again, choose a project, set a goal, launch your first message. You can do this. Are there any questions? I'm going to open up so I can see the questions. Oh, here's one. If you have never asked for donations from a giving foundation or individuals before, why is this thing in the way? Excuse me. Before we do find those who are big givers at this time. Where do we find those? Oh, so that's a bit of a separate thing. What we're talking about right now is your current donors. So we're talking about year-end giving. So we're talking about the donors that you have now. So you want to really focus on the donors that you have now. And so you can look at your top 20% of your donors and you can sort of talk to them. You can bring them aside if you like. You're able to talk to your top 10% of your donors. And I let them know, maybe give them a call this week and say, hey, we're launching this project. We want to make sure that you know about this first, but we're going to do it, we're going to do it congregation wide on Sunday. But please make sure that you put you guys are all on mute right now. So we want to make sure that you know about this and you can reach out to your current donors. At another time, we'll talk about going out and getting bigger donors, but it's not time to do that right now. Now you're focusing on the donors that you have. This is year-end giving. Uh, it looks like it's Angeline. Can you put yourself on mute? We're hearing your conversation. Thank you. Let's see. How appropriate is it to ask for donations for, oops, that one jumped down, for a salaried director of ministry? Oh, it's very appropriate. Family is supposed to give first. You ask leadership first. It's extremely appropriate. In fact, I usually advise people to start off with your board of trustees, your leadership, your staff, and then you move on to congregation. So it's very appropriate. And that way you can walk in and you can say, look, this is what we've already started with. Our leadership team has raised this amount of money. Will you join us? That means the pastor as well, by the way. The lead pastors need to give. You need to be the first ones, and then everybody else will fall in line. Okay, so then the next one is, this is a project based. So how does one ask for money for operations? Because we can't take money for other purposes for operations. Well, you can. You can. So usually it's a little more technical, but you can. So often, so for example, the food pantry. The food pantry has some of the administration is running the food pantry. So you cut out a sliver of the food pantry that is being supported by, say, the associate or assistant, or say somebody is being paid to staff the food. So there are ways to do it. There's lights that are running the food pantry. You can kind of cut that. The electricity, the building, the amount it costs. There's different ways to slice it up. But if you want your particular project to be on operations, general operations and reserves, you can do that. I'm working with one of my clients that's what we're doing. We're doing general operations, but we're also doing an intern as well. That's his year in. That's what he felt was important. So those are the things we're highlighting. We're making sure that those are important. So you can focus on, so what's in general operation is important. So what you do is you don't say we need the lights, we need the electricity to stay on, we need, things like that. You say what they're doing. So for example, if you say we need, if you need, general operating, if you have an after school program operating in the church, the general operating supports that after school program with the lights, with the electricity, with the staff, with all. So those are the things you highlight. So you're saying general operating, but things like this are supported by that. And you highlight those individual things that are supported. You don't focus on the lights, the electricity, and those things. You focus on the things that they bring about. So the after school program, Sunday school, things like that. That's how you do general operating. The ministry will work on limited basis since we will not have a director. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe you can redo that, Quell, so I can understand that. I got it. Let's see. You give me another smart way to ask for donor. Oh, well, great. Thank you. Our organization drills boreholes in Kenya. Okay, so we plan to dig trees and boreholes in the trees. We would be appropriate to request funding for all three of these. So I would focus on one, because if you start going beyond two, Willis, it's you're confusing. Focus on one, and maybe two at the most, but just focus on two. Anything more than that, you start confusing your donors. It's not clear. You have to have too many other messages. Just stick with two at the most. You are welcome, Dr. King. Any other questions might we have? You're welcome, Willis. I asked before about the salary for the director, and we will not have a director in the spring because of the shortfall. Um, okay, but you might be. It all depends on how much money you raise, during this time of the year. If you, again, as I mentioned before, one of my clients, they're focusing on the internship, so we're trying to raise money for that as well as general operating and reserves. Those are his two things. Operating and reserves are the same thing the way that their church looks at it. So they have two projects. So he's planning on raising $50,000. So I don't know what capacity your church has, but that can be done. It can certainly be done. So I have a few more slides to go over, and then we'll come back to some final questions. So a lot of people ask, what do we do? And so we wanted to take a few moments to let you know what nonprofit fundraising management does. And what we do is we try to solve your problems because we are the guide. And so what usually happens is your church or your nonprofit has a calling. There's something you guys want to do beyond worship. Usually you want to do something in the community, and we help you fund that. That's what we do. So the problem is most ministries or nonprofits are doing great work. That's not the problem. The problem is, but you don't have the fundraising systems that are reliable, that bring in the needed funds that allow you to expand. So then that's what we do. Nonprofit fundraising management, or NFM, we help African American churches and African American nonprofits build modern, repeatable fundraising systems that work every single year. I've been doing this for over 30 years. Raised over $50 million. I left an organization about 2 years ago. And when I left, I didn't take my systems with me. They just decided not to use my systems anymore. They are now in trouble. I have friends that still work at the organization. They're saying that, things are shutting down, they're laying people off. They're not using the systems that I put in place, and they're not technical, they're not hard, they're simple. And I just wish they would have continued the things that I had put in place when I was there. It's a simple plan. It's to get you fully funded, your ministry and your mission. So if you're interested in working with us, you can talk with us. You can choose. We have three different fundraising paths. We can build a fully funded ministry or mission for you. So just call, and we can sit down and talk to you. We can get you fully funded, your church or your nonprofit. So if you have any questions about what we do and how we do it, you can just schedule a discovery call. And the results are, I mean, our clients that we're working with, they're raising far more money. When we first worked with this one client, they were raising about $90,000 below. So they were in the red. Last year, they were $260,000 up. This year, we're already about $70,000 up over last year, which means they're about $340,000 up before we got started. And we haven't even started with our Christmas year end thing. And we're going to give you more impact. You're going to have less stress because somebody is showing you what to do, somebody is doing it, and we give you the ability to have your mission to thrive. So funding doesn't have to be confusing or stressful. You just need a clear plan and a guide, and that's who we are. And so if you want to connect with us, this is the way you do it. I'm Paul Hosch, as I mentioned before. I am the CEO and the founder. You can send me an email, but what would be better is if you just you check our website, but you also just schedule a discovery call. And that would be on the calendar, which is wearenfm.com/contacts. Or you can just use the code here, and you can connect that with your phone, and you'll have my contact information. And are there any more questions? Okay, let me look. Are there any more questions, thoughts, ideas? Let me know what you need. Are you all interested in coming back next Monday to check in, to answer any questions, comments, or is that not something you would be interested in doing? Let me know in the chat.
I'm interested, Paul, but can you also show that email again, please?
Yes, certainly. Okay, good. Excellent. So we have at least three people. That's all we need. All we needed was one. We were going to show up if one person shows, but we want as many people to show up as possible because, and we're going to be here too for December 12th. December 12th is part two to keep you going. But in between, we are going to be trying to give you this little tidbits on the way. And it's in the chat. I think that was you, Herbert. So if you want to check the chat, you can sort of connect right there. And I'll you were asking for the email as well, Herbert? Was that you?
Yes.
We'll put the email in the chat as well, if you would, Deborah. So good. We have enough people that are interested. So we will certainly be back, and we will be back on the 12th as well. Are there any questions? I'm surprised you guys don't have any questions. Is anybody nervous? Or is anybody excited?
We had questions, but some of them we've already put them in the chat box.
Great. Anybody else? Dr. King, what are you thinking about? Patricia, what are you thinking about? Want this to be interactive? Let me know what you guys are thinking about. Both. Okay, great. Great. Glad it was helpful. Yes, we're going to share the slides. We are going to send you all the slides. And so you will have that. As long as you're signed up, you will receive the slides. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Again, we're super sorry about the technical issues we had, but we had them last week, but we thought it was just a fluke. But we are no longer going to be using that platform. We're going to find a new platform. And so it'll be much more smoother next Monday. And so we'll send something out to you guys next Monday so you'll be able to sign up. And we look forward to hearing from you and look forward to receiving all of the templates that I mentioned. You'll receive the slide deck and we'll try to answer your questions and we'll be talking to you very soon. Take care and we will see you next Monday. Be well, Herbert.
Okay. Thank you. And we appreciate you, Paul.
Oh, my pleasure.
Mhm.